stiff peaks. Unfortunately, you cannot eat this pie yet. Hi there, I'm Sarah Rodriguez from Rodriguez Farm. We're back with another Farm Fresh Friday, where we give you some recipes that you can use with eggs. So today I'm going to be making a lemon meringue pie. It's a personal favorite and a big hit around here. The store-bought pie crusts are fantastic, especially when you consider that you only need the bottom half for a lemon meringue pie. So I just buy them frozen. So the first thing you want to do if you have a pie crust ready is pop it in the oven and get it baking. So now that we've got that going, I'm going to start making the filling. We're starting with 1 1/3 cup of water in a saucepan. So the filling for the lemon meringue pie will be cooked on the stove, and the meringue will make separately in this bowl. You'll need 5 eggs, 1/3 cup of cornstarch, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 full cup of sugar, just for the filling. There'll be more in the meringue, and a couple lemons or lemon juice. I prefer to use the fresh lemons. I really do think it makes a big difference. So we start with the water, the cornstarch and the salt, the sugar, and we can get that simmering very low temperature on the stove, just trying to dissolve the sugar in the water. You don't need to bring it to a boil or anything, just really light touch. What we want is about a tablespoon of zest from the peels. So wash your lemons first. If you don't have fresh lemons and you're using lemon juice, that's totally fine. You're just gonna skip this step about the zest. It does make a difference in my opinion though. I roll the lemons first because once they're kind of zested, then they're not as nice to touch. And this also helps with getting the juice out. So for zest, we use a grater or a zester. So yeah, standard cheese grater works fine. Kind of on the smaller side, just like that. And try and only get yellow. We don't want a bunch of the white. The yellow is where, oh, smells so good. The yellow is where all of the flavor is. And I like to try and pick lemons that have nice thick rind. Some of them are a little thinner, so they don't grate as nicely. Yeah, that's about a tablespoon. That part doesn't matter so much in terms of exactness, but that's about a tablespoon. So I'm gonna add that to my mix here. And next we want 1/2 cup of lemon juice. So again, you're welcome to use lemon juice from concentrate because I make lemon meringue pie enough. I have this handy lemon zest or lemon juicer, but you can also, like, honestly, if you just roll it, slice it, you can give it a couple side cuts as well, and you can just squeeze like so. And I do it with a strainer over top, just in case you can't see that. I've got the strainer over top to catch seeds and like large quantities of pulp. We really only want the juice here. Now, I don't know where you're joining us from, but if you happen to be from one of those wonderful countries where you have a lemon tree in your backyard, well, then you have no excuse. Always fresh lemons. And that's 1/2 cup. So I'm gonna add that to our pot as well. This part takes a little while. You're gonna wanna put it, not necessarily low heat, but medium low. And just continuously stir it down until the sugar has dissolved into the water. So you can see that the sugar is dissolving into our liquid here. And when we start to see bubbles, that's when we're gonna add our eggs. So you're gonna use 5 eggs total. We're gonna put 5 yolks in the pot in the filling, and 5 egg whites make the meringue later. How you separate eggs is kind of up to you, but I generally find that using my fingers and letting the whites run through while I coddle the yolk, as it were, works the best for me. But yeah, you just wanna make sure that they're nice and separate. I'm gonna put the whites in a bowl here, and the yolks I'm just gonna put in this measuring cup that I use for water. Just like that. That's 1. If the whites are at room temperature, they make a much fluffier, more successful meringue. Normally I wouldn't bother about a blood spot. I'm probably gonna try and get it out. Blood spots are naturally occurring little kind of deformities in the eggs. It's just part of the egg laying process for hens. Sometimes there's a little bit of a blood spot in there. It has nothing to do with whether the egg is fertilized or not. It just means they probably worked a little harder laying that egg. So you can see here we're starting to get a little bit of bubbling. You're starting to get a little bit of a gelatin texture to it. That's the cornstarch reacting with the lemon. It will thicken up gradually as we go. Okay, so once you've got your bubbling going on, you're starting to see some thickening happen. That's when you're gonna wanna add your eggs. But you don't just add the eggs. We're gonna do something called tempering the egg yolks. What you wanna try and do is acclimate the eggs to the temperature that they're going into, but more gently, so that they don't just flash cook, basically. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pour a little bit of the hot mixture into a separate container. Beat the warm mixture into the eggs really slowly. Like I said, that will just help the eggs acclimate to the heat that we're going to be adding them to. We're just gonna gradually add this warm mixture to the egg yolks. Can kind of feel like that's a little warmer than it was before. We're gonna gradually, really slowly add the egg mixture into the pot. So, like dribbling it in. I'm gonna take this off the heat just so that it doesn't get too thick or burn or anything like that. Next, we're gonna make meringue. So what you wanna do is, you've got your egg whites that we separated before. What you want to do is whip them with a stand mixer or a hand mixer. I really recommend something mechanical because by hand it'll take you all day. Whip the eggs by themselves first, and then we're going to add half a cup of sugar, half a teaspoon of cream of tartar, and just a pinch of salt. So I'm going to start by whipping up my egg whites just by themselves until we start to get a nice soft peak. Okay, what I mean by soft peak is that when you pull your mixing implement out of the bowl, you can see that it leaves a nice peak there. You can also, it's a good sign that there's no dripping happening. So now we're gonna add our half cup of sugar, half a teaspoon of the cream of tartar. Conveniently, my half teaspoon is the only one that fits in here. And officially it's 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, but it's like that much. And now we're gonna keep beating until stiff peaks form, and hopefully I'll be able to show you what that looks like. Okay, so if you can hold it on its side like that and it doesn't move at all, that's a nice stiff peak. So I'm just gonna set that aside while we pour our filling in. So we've got our pie crust, we've got our filling. Right before I use the filling, I like to melt in 2 tablespoons of butter. It just helps with the flavor and also to help it set later in the refrigerator. Okay, so we're all set here. So I'm gonna pour some of this in here. Just because of the size of the pie crust, and I want to make sure I have edges on it, I'm probably going to stop there. There's about that much pie filling left. I actually happen to have some tart crusts in the freezer, so I'm going to save this and I'm going to put it in some tart crusts after my pie is done. Okay, so now we're ready for meringue. Let's get some nice... So you're kind of just globbing it on. There's no real pattern or art form to this. It's practice, and literally every lemon meringue pie I make looks different. So like I said, I'm making sure that meringue makes contact, if you have to use your finger, that's okay, makes contact with the crust all the way around. This will keep it from, we call it weeping, which is basically when the meringue slides off your pie. The only thing about the pie that isn't cooked already is the meringue. So we are baking it until the meringue is set and golden brown. The pie crust is cooked, the middle has been cooked over the stove, so you're not waiting for it to be done on the inside. You just want a golden brown meringue on the outside. Little curly cues on top of there. You can make extra meringue if you have more egg whites, if you really want to go and pile it high. So, but it should look something like this. And then as soon as your oven is preheated and you're ready to go, you want to pop that in the oven. 375. Officially, it's about 20 minutes, but honestly, you have to just keep an eye on it. Whenever it is nice and golden brown, that's when you want to pull it out. I like when the little curlies on top get like kind of dark brown, because I like the little crunchy, chewy part that they make, but the rest of it should be golden brown. So you want to go ahead and slide it into the oven. 375. I usually put it on the top rack because, like I said, only the meringue needs to cook at this point. And now we wait. Okay, so we've checked and our pie is ready to come out. It's got a nice golden brown on the meringue. Now, don't panic if it jiggles a little bit. That's supposed to happen. And we're done. You need to let it set for at least 4 hours. I generally recommend longer. This is lemon meringue pie, and this has been Farm Fresh Friday with Rodriguez Farm. If you're interested in purchasing some Rodriguez Farm eggs, which of course come from our on-site free-range hens, very happy chickens, make very delicious, healthy eggs, you can find those anytime just outside on our front porch. We've got a nice little refrigerator there full of eggs. You can also visit our website, store.rodriguez.farm, and you can purchase your eggs online there. And we hope you really enjoyed this. If you have any other suggestions for Farm Fresh Fridays or recipes you'd like to see, go ahead and leave a comment on the YouTube video. Thanks so much for joining us. Bye.